Hey, and a very warm welcome to the Into the LightWeb podcast with me, your hostess, Joanna Hunter, metaphysical teacher, spiritual life and business coach, published author, and the high priestess of the LightWeb, a spiritual technology that will change your life. This is the place to be to talk everything under the LightWeb, from consciousness, relationships, to money, to spiritual business, and everything in between. Hi, it's Joanna Hunter here, and I am joined by my $1 million experiment participant, Eileen Bennett. A warm welcome, Eileen. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
Which part of the world are you in?
I'm in the west of Ireland, in Galway.
Oh, beautiful. I love it over there.
Yeah, it really is beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So when did you join our experiment? Did you join right at the beginning or?
Yeah, I joined right at the beginning.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And how did you hear about us?
I think Facebook, I imagine. It must have been Facebook. Oh, I think somebody shared something with me. But yeah, one of those
Okay.
things that sort of came across.
And then when you first saw it, what was your first initial reaction? Because some people were, in fact, one of our millionaires thought that somebody was sharing spam with her.
No, it resonated straight away. And I said, yep, that sounds like something I could do. So I jumped in.
Amazing. And so were you on our opening call on the 1st of January where we first revealed the $1 million plan?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And did that blow your mind knowing that holding you're in euros, or are you in pounds?
No, we're euros.
You're euros.
Yeah.
So did that blow your mind knowing that holding that €1 that you were 20 steps away from?
Oh, yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
It's so mad,
Crazy.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so mad.
Yeah.
And how have you found being in the experiment? What has shifted for you and changed for you during the time that you've been in the experiment?
Well, I'm delighted to say that I didn't make $1 million. I'll tell you why I'm delighted in a minute.
Okay.
Am I allowed to swear?
Of course.
All right. Because if I had made $1 million this year, I would have $1 million in fucking debt next year, because that's been the pattern, that I create a corresponding hole to whatever amount of abundance comes in. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah, so I've recognized that, and I've learned to get rid of that lack mentality. So maybe I haven't made €1 million, but I've learned $1 million several times over worth of valuable insights.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's huge. And
yeah.
I mean, that's such a common money block as well. I mean, it's one that I was in one hand and out the other, in one
Yeah.
hand and out the other.
Exactly.
That's literally how I lived my life for such a long time. And just for you to, during this year, uncover that, that's huge, because that has such big ramifications moving forward, and being able to uncouple that. How have you found all the different components of the experiment? Like we gave quite a lot of content, so not everybody has actually gone through all the content, because there was lab notes, there was the podcast, there was the book. Was there a particular favorite part that you had?
I love the podcast. I kind of fell off the wagon in the last couple of months because we were moving house, like you, for different reasons. So there's been a bit of an upheaval, and so I've loved the podcast very much. I like the lab notes as well. I liked it all. I think the podcast was my favorite because I looked up every one of those people and learned something from each of them.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love it. The podcast has been a favorite of a lot of people. And I think one of, my intention with the podcast was to really, really show that it is ordinary people that create these extraordinary results. And I love that you love that piece. Did you find, hearing all of these different stories from lots of self-made millionaires, did you find that was inspiring to you? Did you feel like, oh my God, like maybe I could do this?
Oh, hugely. Yeah, hugely. And it's exactly that. If they can do it, like, why can't I do it? They're not different. They're not more educated or smarter or wiser. They haven't lived as long as me, maybe. So, and learned all things the hard way, which I seem to have to do. I'm getting there. So yeah, that was hugely inspiring for that reason.
I love that. And if you were, if somebody was asking you about the $1 million experiment, now we're changing it into the experience, because obviously we've had some students who've actually reached that goal of 1 million, and we've had so many more students that have just been shifted by the whole experience of being in the $1 million. What would you say to someone that's, maybe embarking on this journey? Maybe they're in a similar place to yourself when you first started. What would you say to them?
I would say you can't lose. You just can't lose, and you're going to end up in a better place than you started. And you'll recognize that by the end of it. Even if you don't make 1 million, like I said, you will make 1 million in learning. So do it.
I love that. And what's your plans for the future, Eileen? What are you now? Because you've got all this knowledge that you've taken, and you've got the, you get to keep the book, you get to keep the lab notes. Of course, you can keep tapping into the podcast, things like that. So what are your plans for 2022?
I want to be you, basically. I would love to be able to employ my daughter, and my whole philosophy in life is about empowerment, and that we can empower the world by empowering ourselves first. And basically everything has to start with me. Sounds very selfish, but it isn't. But if I don't work on myself, I can't help anybody else. So I'm going to work on my empowerment effect book, page, all that kind of stuff. Group. I have a really nice group called the Empowerment Effect.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. And you're literally speaking to the women that wrote the book called Get Selfish. My first book was called Get Selfish.
Yeah. No, I think it's
so you never
so
need
important.
to apologize to me for putting yourself first, because I truly believe what you're saying, that I fundamentally believe that we have to start with ourselves, because how else can we? I always used to think, I always tried to make other people happy in my life, but I realized I was always in this losing battle, because, to be quite honest, at that stage of my life, I didn't know the first thing about happiness for myself, let alone another human being. So, and I think, and I think it's such a powerful effect to start with yourself.
Absolutely. Healthy selfishness is essential.
Absolutely. Get selfish, learn all about yourself, really, really get yourself. I think is so important.
Yeah.
So what would you like to leave us with? Is there one gem that you've really learned, or one thing that stands out above all others in this experiment?
Abundance is so closely related to gratitude that we really can't have one without the other. And unless you're grateful for what you have, shit and all, warts and all the crap around you, you're going nowhere. You're always going to be living in lack.
Yes. Yes. Because I've met some really, really abundant people in my life. I had the very, very great privilege of doing readings up in a premier club up here in like a really fancy club that has lots of celebrities and things like that. And one of the biggest takeaways I got from doing work up there was realizing that, these people were millionaires and billionaires, and they weren't any happier than the people that I was regularly serving, that were just working normal 9-to-5 jobs and things like that. They weren't any happier. All they had was just more money, but they had different sets of problems, but they still had problems. And that was hugely eye-opening to me. And it is, at the end of the day, more money will just be more money. It will not erase. It will make things easier in certain areas of your life, but it won't erase unhappiness. We have to do that piece separately. So I love your takeaway from
but there's another side to it, that while on the one hand you have to have the gratitude for all that is, you also have to have faith that you deserve all you want. So it's a kind of a two-edged sword, because otherwise you slip into the poor me's and the lack mentality, and
that's huge. That's huge. Yes, it's the deservability.
Yes.
And we can be so hard on ourselves.
Hugely, yeah.
It sounds to me like you have been on a self-love journey more than a money journey.
Well, that probably had to come first, I think.
Yes, doesn't it? Doesn't it just? I think that, and I think a lot of people have had that realization through the $1 million experiment, that the self-love is very important, and the belief in yourself and the, you know, having your own back is so important.
Yeah, and just believing in your own worthiness, because if you don't believe you're worthy of $1 million, you may get it, but it won't stay, or else it won't satisfy you.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Eileen, for your lovely comments. And I really, really have loved walking with you this whole year. And it sounds like it's been an extraordinary year, lots of shifts. And I'm so happy that you joined us.
And thank you for your training. It's not just on another level, it's on another dimension, and I feel very comfortable there.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Hi, it's Joanna Hunter here, and I am joined by Nikki Cornfield, one of my $1 million experiment participants. Hello, Nikki, a warm welcome. Tell people what it is that you do in the world.
I'm a writer, so I've just been editing a memoir of my journey around the world, which has been a spiritual journey, and I've used all my wisdom to help people with holistic health. I'm a neurologist and a yoga teacher, so I feel like my life's been all coming together to share all these things with women who need me, mainly women. And then and it was another jigsaw in the puzzle of what the book really showed to me, that, wow, gosh, been guided all my life.
I love that. Tell people when you found out about the experiment, or did you join us right at the beginning? Remind us how you joined us.
I was sent the invite by a friend who lives actually in the Czech Republic, and at the time overwhelmed, as you know, we were all in the Zoom and lots of virtual things, but there was just something that I just thought, no, I have to join that, and I dived right in, and then I shared it with quite a few other friends, and we all just knew we were there for a reason, but didn't know why, which is often the case.
So amazing. I love that. So were you on our opening call?
Yes, I was. Yes.
And yes. So you had your dollar in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
On that opening, I'm just trying to think what currency you're in, but it would be dollars. So did it blow your mind knowing that you were 20 steps away from becoming a millionaire holding that $1?
Yeah, I was intrigued more than anything, and the fact that it was going to be a year's experiment, I thought, wow, the content and the things I'm going to learn in that. I just literally went, I just got to open out to the universe and see what happens. But I was intrigued more than anything. How is this going to work?
Brilliant. And how has your year been? You've been walking with us for almost a whole year now. We're coming up on the 31st of December. And how has your experience been in the My $1 Million experiment?
It has been life-changing, mainly on a personal level rather than a financial. But I think that that's often the case, that you realize how much work and how many things you have to shift. And I had a lot. As an expat mum traveling the world, I'd been a dependent wife, was not happy with that. And the things that you shared in all your free things and in the $1 million have just been, wow, she's speaking to me on every level. Oh my goodness me. I've got a lot of shit to clear, excuse my French. Yeah, life, absolutely. And I shared it with so many. You just, yeah, it's magical. I'm so grateful.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing us as well. I love that. Tell us, have you had any favorite bits of the experiment? Because we came at you with a lot of stuff. We had a podcast, we had lives, we had the lab notes, we had obviously group things happening. So there is a lot of content, and not everybody has consumed all the content, and it wasn't certainly the purpose of just consuming the content for the sake of it. It was so that you could have lots of different avenues to learning from us. Have you had any favorite pieces?
Yeah, the book. I keep going back to the book, and I think it keeps drawing me back because I'm seeing things that I didn't see on the first time around, and as the years gone on, I've realized that I just need to go back to that bit, and there's another bit, and it really did speak to my heart completely, and I realized how, yeah, you can get stuck in the victim state, or you can get stuck in I believe that anything's possible, and you reminded me that anything's possible. It reconnected me back to my childhood, the dreams, the ambitions I had, and how you get the layers on top like sand, and they just need to be dropped off and brushed away, and you made that possible. And I'm really grateful I found the child in me again, and that's really exciting. I feel like I'm being playful again, and yeah.
Oh my God, that is all the vibes. That is all the vibes. I love that description of like, it's like layers of sand, because that's exactly, you know, a few years ago, that's exactly where I found myself as well, with a ton of layers of sand and grit and just, ugh. And, you know, and underneath it, my light was still there. It was just hidden. And it was that process of just removing the layers, getting back down to what was important again, which was that inner child, that playful curiosity, that zest for life, you know, which was just so hidden with the mundane day-to-day stuff that we pile on top of ourselves as adults. And I love that that's what you've gotten from the experiment, to really kind of sift through that again. And things. What are your plans going forward now that you have this knowledge, you have the access to the book that you can keep going back to and things? What are you, is world domination next? What's happening in your world? Tell us.
Yeah, it's given me confidence in every area. I think the book has been alive in my hands. It's felt like every time I've edited it, it's alive. But that's a lot of that has been going through everything free, everything I've just done outside the experiment as well. And it's almost like, oh yes, she's here for a reason. I mean, you just have been a light for so many, but me included, that I want to inspire other women who've forgotten who they are, who have still got dreams, and they've just let life, everybody else's stuff just come in the way of that. And I want to remind women that they have to come first, and like filling a bath up. I think you referred to the bath. I love that. Filling the bath up with the water and letting everyone else have the overspill. And that is in my mind all the time. And so it's, to keep focused on the dreams, but the spirit's with me, you know, all the time. And I think it's easy to forget that we're guided, and to really trust that life isn't against us, it's for us. So I'm in your gift. I'm going to go into the experience for the year, because I know there's still so much I've got to, it's exciting. So yes, I'm not a millionaire, but it doesn't matter. I've gained more than the finances really have. So thank you.
Amazing. It is this journey of evolution and growth. And I love that. And just even shifting the mindset to even believing that becoming a millionaire is possible. You know, that was part of the whole thing is, you know, can we even create that mindset shift first? You know, that comes first, doesn't it, before anything else?
100%. Yeah. And voice, and knowing that anything's possible, because it's all the doubts and the restrictions that we put in front of ourselves that stop it. It's nobody else. And once they're gone, anything's possible. And so it's been life-changing. It's very empowering, and it's nice to feel empowered, because I know then I can share that with others, because they will be attracted into that. And that's what I want to do, is help other people. We're all here for that reason, we know that, but it's also fun. You made it all so fun. That's what I loved about it. I'm now tuning into the clanky energy. I always think of your voice when you say the jangly energy, and I go, okay, does this feel right? No, it doesn't. And then I go on to one of your things, and then I get lightened up again, and I know I can feel the difference in the energy, and then it just becomes easy to go, that's not right, this is right. And that's the magic of it, that it's learning to trust that feeling.
I love that. And I mean, that's the power of the container, isn't it? The fact that you can come back in, plug into the energy again, get kind of charged up again, and then go face life. And then as maybe the light starts to dim a little bit more, go back into the container, plug back in, and, you know, like that, because it's just keeping that momentum of those higher vibes going. I mean, that's the secret sauce right there. And that's the power of a container, of being in a container where everything's there for you. There's so many different ways to plug into the energy, from the podcast to the book to the lab notes to even the community. You know, there's so much to plug into. I loved walking with you this year, Nikki. I cannot wait to walk with you in the experience as well. It's going to be so next level. We're literally taking the $1 million experiment to the next level in the experience. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Happy Christmas.
Hi, it's Joanna Hunter here. I am joined by one of my lovely My $1 Million Experiment participants, Britt Gross. Hello, Britt. Warm welcome.
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here with you.
So when you first found me, was that through the experiment or was that some other way?
No, it was through the experiment. A lady who had been engaged with in a previous project, she pointed it out because she was participating. And I just immediately clicked and felt this was such a great idea. And I definitely wanted to be part of it. So I'm a very intuitive decision maker and I just jumped on. That was it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So since jumping into the My $1 Million Experiment, what were you there on that opening call that we did, that very first call that we did on the?
I was, yes. And I recall it like it was yesterday because I was very impressed, you know, with so many people being there and also how you laid out the concept. I just was fascinated. Yeah.
Awesome. Did it blow your mind to know that you're from Germany, so you would have been in euros, or are you in dollars, euros or dollars?
I'm in euros. I mean, right now
I'm
in
euros.
United States, so you know, dollars is fine as well. But yeah, I was back then calculating in euros, right?
So what was that like to know that standing there holding that €1, that you were like 20 steps away from being a millionaire? Did that blow your mind?
It sure did, because I had never approached the whole topic from that angle. You know, it's and I realized by, you know, it's only 20 steps, that subconsciously I had been kind of constructing for myself that it's a huge thing and that I did not really know which way the first or second or third step could go. And so to have a concept laid out in front of you, and just know, okay, you know, there's a secured path. If I do this and if I do this, and I don't really need to think about it by myself, it's just, you know, increment by increment, you can really do and proceed. That was just, wow, can it really be that easy? So I had subconsciously bought into that concept that it must be very hard. And it struck me, especially because I have been, you know, a mindset coach for more than 12 years, working with leaders and entrepreneurs in large corporations. So I studied a lot of the mindset thing, but myself, I had unconsciously, you know, not been aware of that I had that construct.
I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
You know, we think of that hallowed grail of the $1 million year, and we think it's so beyond us, it's so far, it's so fancy, it's so out there. And then what I loved about the 20-step plan is it just puts it right back in the ballpark of possible again, which I love. So tell us how your year has unfolded this year. Have you had lots of shifts this year?
I absolutely did. And I was so intrigued by the way you work and by the whole concept of my $1 Million Experiment as well, that I jumped into many of your courses. So I was in LightWeb, I was in, you know, your divine planning. I still am in that. So I learned so much that was way beyond the $1 million, you know. So I was really busy and then applied a lot of things, and it has had a huge impact on the way I work, on the way I set up my business. So for the next year, I've got lots of big things coming, you know, they're in the pipeline, they're all set up. So I'm really excited.
Amazing.
And this year has also been, you know, there were a lot of shifts in areas that are not business related as well. So this had really had a huge impact.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So tell us about what has been some of your favorite parts of the experiment. I know that it was so much content, so a lot of people just didn't do all of it, but
Right.
you know, we did the lab notes, we had the podcast, we had live streams, we had the book and everything. Is there a particular favorite part that you've had in your experience in the My $1 Million experiment?
Yes, I actually do have one, but I want to say that I really think it's the mix and match of all these factors, of all these things you provide that are really fantastic. Because, you know, if someone's not, you know, in particular fond of the lab notes, you know, he or she can catch the lives, or he can do something else. You know, you can always come back on track, so you never really feel like you're lost or you missed the bus, or, you know, you cannot proceed. And personally, I must say that I enjoyed the lab notes the best, because for me that was just really, as I said, the increments that build up on each other. And I love the fact that it's always just 3 or 4 simple things that you need to do or reflect on, and then you can always share. And that community feeling, to me, you know, sharing about my experiences, reading about the other ones, you know, that is really important, because when you change and you're on your way to become a millionaire, you know, isn't that, you know, the one fact that is keeping us back the most, that we are afraid of losing peers or friends and family, or, you know, becoming the odd one. And to be, you know, in a network like that. And I love working by myself, you know, reflecting, journaling. So this for me was the best, really.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And we really designed those lab notes to be bite-sized. So I love that you felt that they weren't overwhelming, that they were just right. They let you think about things, journal about things, and have that micro shifts that create the big macro shifts that create, you know, I think it's always the smaller shifts that are more impactful, because they create these big shifts down the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we keep moving. Yes.
Yeah. And I think so many are thinking, you know, it's that one big decision I need to make, or, you know, if I miss that, or if I don't see that opportunity, then So these are the stories we keep telling ourselves. And I just think that my $1 million experiment really proves it's not about that. You know, you can start wherever you are. You know, it's one step after the other. It's not the one big thing. Yeah.
Tell us, in going forward into 2022, how do you feel that the experiment is going to impact you in going forward? All the knowledge that you've gotten from this year, from being in our communities as well with the LightWeb, Divine Planning, Abundant Profits, how has that set you up for next year? Are you feeling really confident going into this year?
I totally do feel confident. I mean, for the last 2 years have been very challenging in special ways. I think each year, each day can be very challenging. But I think, you know, all in all, it's been very challenging for many people. And I see there is so much, I won't say need, but demand. And people are opening up much more than they maybe used to before, because that's an experience that just, you know, showed so many different shades there are. So, you know, as I said, I set my business up differently, and it's got another turn. And I just think, you know, it's going to be a huge year of transformation in a much more easy or better way than many of us experienced maybe in the last years. So I'm looking very forward to that, and I'm very confident. And as I said, you know, taking the little steps has really made a big difference, because I even know if I have a phase where I self-sabotage maybe, or you know, something is happening that I didn't plan on, I feel confident that I can always, you know, go back and go inside, and I have the tools and the questions that I can just reuse all over again. I mean, they never get old. They're always there. So it's like a toolbox, you know, it's an experience I have inside of me. And so it's, yeah, absolutely going to be
amazing. Yeah. If you were speaking to someone who was maybe sat on the fence on joining us in the My $1 Million experience, which is how we're taking the experiment forward, we realized it's now an experience because so many people have experienced the shift, but we've also had 3 millionaires come through now. So it's so exciting. There seems to be another one popping up all the time now, so it's really fun. So if somebody was sat on the fence thinking, you know, should I jump in? Should I not jump in? What would you say to them?
Well, you know, it always starts with yourself, with the question, do you really want it? Or, you know, do you really want to keep on telling you the stories why this is not possible for you? And, you know, I always feel, well, I know the feeling. If I know something that I really want to do, and I know this kind of pullback, should I really, will it work for me, or is it just the other ones? And I can just tell that person, you know, trust yourself, you know, it's jump in and you will land softly. I mean, there's no risk really, other than diving deep into yourself and finding out things that you weren't maybe aware of, and then become a success in whatever that is for you, right? So I'd really advise, you know, believe yourself, believe your heart, and go in.
Oh, thank you so much, Britt. It's been extraordinary to walk with you this year, and I'm so excited for your plans for 2022. I can't wait to see all your successes unfold and all the magic continue. Thank you so much for coming and speaking with us today.
Thank you so much, Joanna. It was a great pleasure. It really was. Thank you.
Thank you.